You might think your golden retriever is just,
You just don't know what the machinery inside them is actually doing.
which is exactly our mission today. We are pulling from an extensive stack of research and sources on golden retriever health, specifically targeting those senior years.
Yes.
We are going to map out exactly what healthy aging looks like under the microscope and, more importantly, how you can actively support that shifting biology.
It's so important.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the timeline itself. The sources define a golden retriever as a senior at around 7 to 8 years old.
Right.
But I have to ask about the mechanics of this because a Chihuahua at Satan is basically middle-aged, maybe even a young adult.
Yeah, Chihuahua's still going strong at 7.
Right. So why does a golden retriever hit this biological wall so much earlier?
Well, it really comes down to the sheer mechanics of cellular division.
Okay.
Think about the growth trajectory. To get a golden retriever from a 1-pound puppy to a 70-pound adult in just a year or two.
That is a massive amount of growth, yeah.
It is. And to do that, their cells have to divide incredibly rapidly. And every time a cell divides, the protective caps at the end of their DNA strands, they're called telomeres, they get just a little bit shorter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so because larger breeds require vastly more cell replication to build those large frames, their telomeres shorten much, much faster than those of a 10-pound dog.
That makes total sense.
Right. So by age 7 or 8, those shorter telomeres signal the body to enter the senior phase.
So the very process of growing big inherently speeds up their cellular clock.
Precisely. But this brings us to a core philosophy we really have to establish right away.
Mhm.
Aging is a natural biological transition.
Right. It's not a bug. It's a feature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not a disease. It isn't a pathology that needs to be, cured.
Right.
We aren't trying to stop the clock today. We are trying to optimize the environment for a body that is operating with shorter telomeres.
I love that. That reframes the entire approach. I mean, we aren't fighting a losing battle against time. We're just changing the operating manual.
Beautifully put.
And the first chapter of that new manual has to be physical mobility because, well, that's what you notice first, right?
Absolutely.
The sources highlight a biological triad here: joint care, muscle mass, and body weight.
And this triad is really the foundation of senior dog health. Let's look at the cartilage in their joints first.
Okay.
Cartilage actually doesn't have its own blood supply. It operates like a living sponge.
That's fun.
Yeah, it relies on the gentle mechanical compression of movement to squeeze out cellular waste and soak in fresh nutrients from the surrounding joint fluid.
Oh, I had no idea it worked like that.
Yeah, so if an older dog stops moving, that sponge essentially dries out, becomes brittle, and degrades so much faster.
Wait, really? So the age-old advice of, let the old dog rest, that is actually terrible for their joint health.
It is literally the worst thing you can do. To keep the sponge working, you need movement. But to protect the joint from the destructive impact of gravity, you need robust muscle mass acting as a shock absorber. And to prevent overloading those shock absorbers, you have to strictly manage their body weight.
Okay, I am looking at these sources, and I have to admit I'm struggling with a contradiction here.
Okay, lay it on me.
On one hand, we're told to protect their joints by severely limiting high-impact activities.
Right.
But on the other hand, we're told they absolutely need exercise to maintain that muscle mass and keep that cartilage sponge hydrated.
Yep, that's the paradox.
So if we can't take them on those long, exhausting hikes anymore, I mean, if walking 2 miles on the pavement grinds down the joints, and I don't happen to have, a private heated pool for my dog to swim in every day, how do we make sure they're actually getting the activity they need without overdoing it? How do I thread that needle without doing more damage?
It's tough. That is the ultimate senior dog puzzle.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have access to swimming, it is unparalleled because the buoyancy removes the gravity equation entirely while still providing intense muscle resistance.
Swimming is amazing, yeah.
But if you don't, you have to modify the terrain and the duration. Instead of pavement, you actively seek out dirt trails or grass, which naturally dampen the impact.
Softer ground. Got it.
Right. And instead of one long, exhausting hike, you break it into 4 very short, frequent walks. You can also introduce things like cavaletti poles.
Cavaletti poles, like for horses.
Exactly like that, but smaller. Basically just laying broomsticks on the grass and having the dog step over them.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, it forces them to lift their paws and engage their core muscles, but with zero concussive impact.
And we also have to factor in the specific breed psychology here.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a golden retriever isn't just going to tell you when their joints hurt. They have that intense working dog heritage.
This is a critical nuance for Goldens specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, they were bred for generations to plunge into freezing water and push through thick brush to retrieve waterfowl.
Right, they're tough.
Very tough. They have an exceptionally high drive to complete a task, and that intense focus actively masks their perception of pain.
That's a bit scary, honestly.
It is. A golden retriever will literally fetch a tennis ball until their cruciate ligament tears. They will not self-regulate.
Which puts the entire burden of regulation on the owner.
Completely.
You have to be the adult in the room and hide the frisbee, even if they are just begging for it, because their brain is writing checks, their joints can no longer cash.
Exactly. You were basically transitioning from being their coach to being their physical therapist.
I love that analogy. But this creates a massive secondary problem, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if we are artificially stopping them from burning off all that physical energy to protect their joints, that energy doesn't just evaporate.
No, it definitely doesn't.
It gets trapped. And the sources point out that this trapped energy leads directly to our next frontier, which is the mental and sensory landscape.
Right. When physical exertion drops, cognitive decline can accelerate rapidly if we don't swap physical exhaustion for mental exhaustion.
Right, the brain needs a workout too.
Exactly. The brain is a muscle that demands calories and engagement.
The sources specifically recommend things like puzzle toys and gentle training refreshers.
Yeah.
But I'm going to push back on this a little.
Oh, okay.
Gentle training refreshers. I thought training was just for unruly puppies who are trying to figure out the house rules.
A lot of people think that, yeah.
Right. So why in the world am I pulling out treats to teach an 8-year-old golden to stay when he's had it completely mastered since 2019?
What's fascinating here is the concept of neuroplasticity and cognitive reserve.
Okay, tell me more.
We tend to view training strictly as a behavioral tool, right? Like a way to manufacture a polite roommate.
Yeah, basically.
But from the dog's biological perspective, training is complex problem solving. As a dog ages, certain neural pathways naturally degrade.
Just like in humans.
Exactly like humans.
Right.
So by asking an older dog to practice commands in new environments or teaching them a totally useless but fun new trick, you are forcing their brain to build fresh neural pathways.
Wow.
You're building cognitive reserve.
So it's essentially creating a neurological decor around the aging parts of the brain.
Yes, exactly. And you can engage their strongest sense to achieve this, which is their nose.
Oh, the sniffing.
Snuffle mats, or simply hiding their kibble in the grass and forcing them to sniff it out, requires massive olfactory processing.
Right.
Processing scent uses a huge percentage of a dog's brain. 15 minutes of intense sniffing will tire a senior golden out just as much as a mile-long walk, but with zero impact on their hips.
That is incredibly practical. And, while we are on the topic of how they perceive the world, we really need to talk about their eyes and ears.
Yes, definitely.
Because these physical senses completely alter the way they interact with their environment.
Age-related sensory decline is a hallmark of this stage. But owners often misinterpret the early signs.
Like how?
Well, you might think your golden is becoming stubborn or just ignoring you, when in reality, they simply didn't hear the specific frequency of the back door opening anymore.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Or they hesitate at the top of the stairs at night. The sources talk about changes in dim lighting.
Right.
I always assumed this was just general blindness, but there's a specific mechanism at play here, isn't there?
There is, yeah. Most senior dogs develop something called lenticular sclerosis.
Okay. Lenticular sclerosis.
It's a hardening of the fibers within the lens of the eye. It gives the eye that cloudy bluish haze you often see.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. But unlike cataracts, which completely block light and cause true blindness, lenticular sclerosis just scatters the light.
Oh, so they can still see.
Yes, but it severely diminishes their depth perception, especially in low light. That is why they pause at the stairs at night.
Wow.
The steps suddenly look like a flat, confusing ramp to them.
So you literally just turn a light on for them. You adapt the environment.
Exactly. Just turn on a lamp.
But the research draws a very hard, non-negotiable line when it comes to the timeline of these changes.
Crucially, yes. Lenticular sclerosis and age-related hearing loss happen over months and years.
Right.
If your dog wakes up on a Tuesday and suddenly bumps into the coffee table, or entirely fails to react to a loud clap, that is not aging. That is an acute medical event, like retinal detachment or sudden glaucoma, and it requires emergency veterinary intervention.
So sudden changes are emergencies, gradual changes are aging.
Exactly.
Which brings us perfectly to the internal maintenance schedule. Because gray fur and cloudy eyes are, well, they're obvious to anyone.
Very true.
But the real shifts are happening internally, on a cellular level where we can't see them. This requires a total overhaul of the medical routine.
Yes, you have to shift from assuming everything is fine to actively searching for the subtle shifts.
Right.
This means moving from annual vet visits to a minimum of twice a year.
So what does this all mean for the owner's actual calendar and daily routine? I mean, 6 months doesn't seem like a long time to us, but in the biological lifespan of a golden high, that's a massive window.
It really is.
Now, let's elevate this beyond just saying, go to the vet. The sources stress the importance of periodic blood work. What hidden metrics is the vet actually hunting for in a senior dog's blood panel?
Well, the standard physical exam tells a vet very little about internal organ function. The blood work is the real diagnostic engine here.
Okay.
For instance, veterinarians now rely heavily on an SDMA test.
SDMA, what is that?
It's a kidney function test. In the past, traditional blood tests for creatinine wouldn't flag kidney disease until about 75% of the kidney function was already gone.
Wait, 75%? That's huge.
It was a trailing indicator. By the time you saw it, the damage was done.
Wow.
But the SDMA test can detect kidney function loss when only 25% is compromised.
That is a staggering difference. It basically gives you years of runway to adjust their diet and preserve the remaining 75%?
Exactly. It's game-changing. They are also looking at specific liver enzymes like ALP and ALT.
What do those tell us?
They can spike as the dog's metabolism slows down or if the liver is struggling to process waste. Running this blood work when your senior dog seems completely healthy is vital because it establishes their unique baseline.
Ah, so you know what normal looks like for them.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Building a long-term relationship with a trusted vet is invaluable here because they can interpret these subtle internal changes against the dog's full historical baseline. You need to know what normal looks like so the vet can instantly spot a 5% deviation 6 months later.
It's like moving from standard car maintenance to high mileage monitoring.
That's a perfect analogy.
Speaking of their metabolism slowing down, we have to talk about diet.
Oh, diet is huge.
I feel like the metabolism of a senior golden is a lot like a smartphone battery whose maximum capacity has permanently degraded.
Oh, I like that.
Right. You can't just keep plugging it in the same way and expect it to hold the charge. The daily energy requirement shrinks, so what you put into the battery has to change.
The smartphone battery is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. Their metabolic rate drops, so if you keep feeding them the same volume of high-calorie adult food,
They just pack on the pounds.
they will immediately gain that joint-destroying weight we talked about earlier.
Right.
But the solution isn't just feeding them less of the same food.
Because if you just cut their portions, you are also cutting their essential nutrients.
Right. And older dogs are highly prone to sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle wasting.
Oh, and we need that muscle to protect the joints.
Exactly. To combat sarcopenia and keep those joint shock absorbers strong, a senior dog often requires highly digestible premium protein just in a lower calorie package.
That makes sense.
This is why grabbing a generic bag of kibble labeled senior off the supermarket shelf is often inadequate.
It's too generic.
Way too generic.
Yeah.
You need bespoke guidance based on your dog's specific blood panel.
Okay.
Do they need restricted phosphorus for their kidneys? Do they need omega-3 fatty acids for joint inflammation?
So the diet has to be literally tailored to the lab results.
Yes. Now, we can't ignore the actual mechanics of how they eat, their dental health.
Oh, yes. This is so important.
The sources make a terrifying connection between the mouth and the rest of the body.
They do. Owners consistently underestimate periodontal disease. They just write it off as, normal dog breath.
Right. Everyone jokes about dog breath.
But think about the decades of wear and tear. The sticks they've chewed, the dirt they've ingested. Plaque hardens into calculus, which forms these deep pockets of bacteria under the gum line.
And it doesn't just stay in the mouth, does it?
That is the critical danger. Every single time a dog with severe dental disease chews their food, that pressure pumps oral bacteria directly into the bloodstream.
Oh, yuck.
I know, it's gross. That bacteria then filters through the major organs. Over time, it can settle on the heart valves, causing a life-threatening condition called endocarditis.
Wow.
Or it can severely damage the kidneys. Dental health in a senior dog isn't cosmetic. It is systemic organ protection.
Man, So we have built a massive biological checklist here.
It's a lot, I know. We are monitoring telomeres, keeping the cartilaged sponge wet while protecting it from gravity, stopping them from retrieving themselves into an injury.
Right.
Utilizing olfactory exhaustion, mapping out cloudy lenses, running SDMA blood panels, optimizing digestible proteins, and fighting off oral bacteria.
Sounds exhausting when you list it all out like that.
It does. How on earth does a normal owner synthesize all of this without feeling totally overwhelmed?
Well, by tracking the micro trends rather than panicking over single isolated events.
Okay.
Quality of life isn't determined by one bad Tuesday where they didn't finish their breakfast. It is about zooming out and evaluating the overarching pattern.
The sources actually suggest using an organizational tool called VitalPet to manage this.
Yes, and while an app absolutely never replaces a licensed veterinarian, it serves a really critical function, which is data collection.
Because our memories are terrible.
Our human memories are so flawed, we tend to only remember the extremes. But if you use a tracker, you can tell your vet, he used to eat his breakfast in 2 minutes. Over the last 3 months, it has slowed to 10 minutes, and he leaves roughly 10% of it behind.
That's incredibly specific.
Right. And that objective, unemotional data is absolute gold for a vet trying to interpret those subtle internal shifts.
You are basically building a concrete health dossier.
Here you are.
But beyond all the biological data, the blood draws, and the dietary math, there is the emotional reality of living with a senior dog. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
We've spent this entire time dissecting how fundamentally the golden retriever's physical body is breaking down. The joints ache, the lenses cloud, the kidneys need help. But through all of that biological decay, a golden retriever's core emotional drive, like their profound need for social connection, routines, and being physically near you, it does not degrade by a single percentage point.
If anything, it intensifies. Oh yeah, that deeply social, people-oriented nature that makes a golden, it remains perfectly intact. As their physical world shrinks, as they can no longer, chase the ball into the woods or safely navigate a crowded dog park,
Right.
their emotional reliance on you becomes their entire universe.
You become their anchor to the world.
You really do. Maintaining their daily routines, even if the routine is just sitting on a blanket in the sun instead of hiking a mountain, it supports their emotional well-being profoundly.
That's beautiful.
Aging changes the physical capabilities of a dog, but it doesn't diminish their capacity for joy. A senior dog can experience a tremendous, rich quality of life. It just looks slower.
So to wrap this up, the toolkit for you, the owner, is entirely about adaptation.
Yes.
You are proactively managing their weight and utilizing low-impact movement to keep that cartilage sponge functioning.
Right.
You are stepping in to override their retrieving drive to protect their joints. You are replacing physical exertion with intense olfactory puzzles to build cognitive reserve. You are upgrading your vet schedule to catch the hidden SDMA and liver enzyme markers. You are protecting their heart from dental bacteria, and you are tailoring their protein intake.
Spot on.
But above all, you are maintaining the deep emotional routines that define their existence.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of science, but when applied daily, it just becomes a new, quieter rhythm of life with your dog.
Right, it's just a new routine.
Exactly. You don't have to approach their senior years with a sense of dread. Armed with this biological understanding, you can actually approach it with incredible confidence.
It's just a new way of showing up for the friend who has shown up for you every day of their life.
I love that.
As we close out our deep dive into these sources today, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder, something that really resonated with me looking over all this research.
Okay, I'm listening.
We've mapped out exactly how a golden retriever's physical capacity inevitably fades, how their cells age, and how their senses dim. Yet, their core, unwavering desire to simply be in the same room as you never weakens.
It never does.
It begs a beautiful question. If the biological machine slows down and the eyes eventually cloud over, but that pure, intense devotion to you remains completely untouched by time, does the actual essence of who they are ever really age at all?
Wow. That is a remarkable perspective to keep in mind as you navigate this chapter.
It truly is. Thank you for joining our deep dive today. We hope you walk away equipped with the science and the confidence to give your senior companion the incredible twilight years they deserve. We will catch you on the next deep dive.